Alright, once again, who is ready to get things started back to our beloved cutthroat and the object of her desires? Surely this is a story that will be one with a very happy ending. You're ready for config? Yeah, we should have went into the config menu. Alright, let's get going.
Konnichiwa. 今日もお暑いのにご精が出ますことで。
You had to reset the stream anyway because it was chopping.
Oh,
yeah, it's not mine. It's not my end because I have dropped 0 frames. We have a big green lamp there that says connection is good. Hey, it's Irie. He's baseball man again.
こんにちは。あれ？それは差し入れですか？ありがたいな。さすがは我がチームのマネージャー。
まあ気が向いたからです。別に監督に差し入れたくて買ってきたわけじゃないので、そこんとあとさりげなく人を勝手にマネージャーに組み込まないように。
ミオンがマネージャーだったらいろいろ心強いと思うけどね。
He's baseball boy now.
やってよ、ミオン。
Wait, does baseball boy have a sprite? Alright, baseball boy and baseball manager have sprites, everybody. We're good. He is number 7.
マネージャー。
Satoshi-kun smiled at me in a carefree manner. I didn't want to become their manager. It'd be tiresome. I've been coming every week, though, so I'm a quasi-manager
まあ
already.
本当に気が向いたらその時はやりますんで。で、どうです？サトシ君の打率はどんな感じです？
ええ、頑張ってますよ。彼の打率ですか？そうですね。セブンスマートでおせんべいの袋をどれでも3つ買うとですね。
それってつまり3割ってことですか？
30% is a pretty good batting average, really. Like, .300, like, that's a pretty good batting average.
サトシ君って結構な高打率打者じゃないの。
打率は数字じゃないよ、ミオン。ここ一番で打てなきゃ意味はないんだからさ。
サトシ君は自分で自分の弱点をよく分かっているようですね。そこまで分かっているなら、あとは練習あるのみですよ。
Irie signaled to the pitcher and then threw the ball. Satoshi-kun looked calm, following the ball with his eyes, then he swung. Thwack! The ball flew between the first and second bases and landed in the distance.
やったー！パチパチパチパチパチ！
That's good. That's another good Shion sound. I clapped, and Satoshi-kun blushed in response. He repositioned his helmet to hide his face. That's a good sound.
おー！やったー！パチパチパチパチパチ！おー！やったー！パチパチパチパチパチ！
We got a new Shion copter.
フリーバッティングや試合が平坦な時はかなり落ち着いたいいバッティングを見せてくれるんですけどね。
Irie smiled compassionately. It seemed that Satoshi-kun really couldn't perform well when it counted. While he was usually good, when everybody expected him to perform, he couldn't. I didn't think it was because of nervousness. He just couldn't do it. I think it's a perfect fit for Satoshi-kun's character. He seems calm at first glance, but he's actually
ス
slow.
コアボードとかそういう数字上ではかなりの高アベレージヒッターなのにね。
That's what happens when you upgrade the engine a few
本番
times.
に弱いってのは致命的かも。そんなことだからこないだの浮田ジャガーとの試合でもここ一番で凡退するんですよ。
うるさいな。気にしてるんだから黙っててくれよ。
あそこで打てればかなり美味しい見せ場だったんですけどね。残念です。
A hit could have put the offense into the lead, or at least given them an extension. That was when Satoshi-kun came up to bat. Irie wanted him to live up to everybody's expectations, but statistically that wasn't likely to happen, yet Irie insisted on giving him a chance, in spite of the fact that all the team members had suggested a pinch hitter.
もうあそこで打てれば完璧なのにな。どうしてダメなんですか？どうしてああいう時に打てないんですか？
仕方ないよ。僕がああいう時弱いの本当だし。
Uh-oh, they're taking away the happy music.
僕だって代打を出してくれた方が試合に勝てるかなって思ったし。
Okay, we're back. It was just fading out.
試合に
Okay.
勝つかじゃなくて、サトシ君が勝つかどうかが問題なんです。もうなんで当の本人にここまで闘争心がないのかな。普通は逆でしょ。代打に変えられそうなところを、ここは俺に打たせてくださいって食ってかかるとこでしょ。自分から代打を出してほしいなんて言い出すなんて、もうなんでここまで闘争心がないのかな。
それは私も普段から言ってるんですけどね。まあその辺がサトシ君のいいところではあるんですが、
普段は紳士でも試合には鬼になる。男にはそういう二面性があっても私はいいと思います。とにかくサトシ君には鬼がない。
Let your demon out, Satoshi.
仮にもひなみ沢の人間なんだから、たまにはご先祖の鬼の血を思い出してくださいよね。って聞いてます？サトシ君？
聞いてるよ。よくわかんないけど、その
わかんないけどってサトシ君の話をしてるんですよ。
This is a family friendly.
それを
He plays dirty. Satoshi-kun suddenly started stroking my head. He looked delighted for some reason. A blush immediately spread across my face. A blush immediately spread across my face. I didn't know how to
ミオン
respond.
は僕のためを思って言ってくれてるんだよね。ありがとう。僕は頑張る。
サトシ君、そういうことしてごまかさないでください。
Stop fooling an old man.
ごまかしてなんかないよ。嬉しいだけだよ。
I couldn't resist his hand. I couldn't help mumbling like he does. Satoshi-kun ran back to the field, leaving me red as a beet.
頭撫でられるの弱いんですか？
撫でる人によります。監督が撫でてきたら関節決めますんで、覚悟の方よろしくです。
Alright, this girl's got her priorities straight. She knows what she wants. And is not Irie.
もうずるいな。
Don't be weird, Irie.
じゃあ全員集合。今日は出席もいいことですから、人数を分けて紅白戦をやってみましょう。
The Hinamizawa Fighters are sort of a lazy team. The members gather simply to enjoy playing baseball, not to fight for victory. The Okinomiya Titans use this field too, but they practice on a different day of the week. They always train hard using dumbbells and stuff. Our team split into two groups and started a match, retaining their loose atmosphere.
じゃあ私は記録でもやるかな。監督、どっかに鉛筆ないですか？
いつもすみませんね。はい、これお願いしますね。
I took the pencil and the clipboard. I don't know how to differentiate between recording hits and errors at first, but now I was used to
頑
it.
張ってサトシ君。あんまり応援するとまた打てなくなっちゃいますね。ほどほどに頑張れ。
Just do okay!
それはそれでひどいな。
Do moderately well!
頑張れ。
Time passed slowly that Sunday. Huge white clouds appeared in the sky. They made me feel healthy. Humans are born to be active under the sun. That's a lie. One of the parents was acting as umpire today, so Irie sat on the bench with me. He shouted words of encouragement to the kids while they ran to their positions. Any other baseball coach would constantly berate them, but he was much more generous, like a kindergarten teacher. He let the kids have fun while watching over them. To other baseball players, it might look a little
それ
naive.
でも あの程度の練習量でみんなこれだけの動きができるんだから驚きですよね。
ひなみ沢の子はみんな普段から元気に遊び回ってますからね。運動量は町の子とは比べ物にならないんですよ。変なフォームで固めてしまうより遊び感覚の方が伸びるんです。
おお、見事に沖宮タイタンズとは正反対の考え方ですね。あちらの監督と対立するのわかる気がします。
タイタンズさんの考えも間違ってませんよ。試合は勝つためにするものですからね。勝利至上主義は決して間違いじゃないです。みんなで団結して共通の目標を目指すのはとても素敵なことだと思いますからね。まあうちはその目標がたまたま勝利じゃないってだけのことです。
The Hinamizawa Fighters and the Okinonomiya Titans had been rivals for a long time. Both teams share the same baseball field for one thing, and originally there was only one team, but the people living in Hinamizawa left and made their own. Anyhow, we were rivals. The Okinonomiya Titans were strictly about winning, and the Hinamizawa Fighters were just about having fun. Surprisingly, our scores weren't that different, which meant our team had something they didn't. Even though I couldn't put it into words, I knew what made that happen.
ほら、赤組さんも頑張ってください。2点差なんかひっくり返せちゃいますよ。白組も油断なくしっかり。
Still, some parents would criticize our coach for being too lenient, but still others would strongly agree with him. Which side would I take? The latter? I couldn't really say for sure. The reason for this was that Irie had an obnoxious habit of sexual harassment. Oh, Jesus. Well, we're just gonna fucking call it out. Hashtag cancel Irie. Hashtag Irie is over party. In particular, he had a fascination with maids, but I should talk about that some other time. Satoshi-kun let the ball pass twice to see its trajectory, then hit it on the third pitch and ran to first base.
サトシ君打った打った。落ち着いてればさすがですよね。
最初はちょっと素振りしただけですぐバテてたんですけどね。それを思えば本当に上達したものです。
Oh god, he would have one of those, wouldn't he?
サトシ君って文系って感じの人ですよね。よくその彼が野球をやろうなんて思ったものですね。
All the other kids who joined the baseball team loved baseball. They'd go out to play in the fields outside of practice. That's why they all had an aptitude for it. But Sis never said that Satoshi-kun exercises intensively in school or anywhere else. He only likes to read. That's why I didn't understand why he started playing for his team to begin with.
それはですね、私がサトシ君をこのチームに誘ったからなんです。
へえ、監督が自らスカウトしたんですか？サトシ君に何かすごい素質があるのを見抜いて。
あ、すみません。麦茶を一杯もらってもいいですか？あ、どうも。
Irie asked for tea in a suspicious manner. While he constantly joked around, I knew he was actually a very mature person. I assumed he was trying to evade my
何か訳あ
question.
りなんですか？
Irie pretended he didn't hear me, but I pressed him on it. In response, he shrugged and began answering the question.
園崎さんなら、あるいは想像がつくんじゃないかと。
Oh, okay, now the happy music is gone. What would be Mion Sonozaki's guess? I quickly searched through the data I had on Satoshi-kun. I came up with Satoshi-kun's family circumstances. He lost his parents in an accident a year ago. Since then, he's been having a tough time at his uncle's home.
じゃあ監督はサトシ君の鬱憤とかそういうのを解消させてあげようと思ってこのチームに。
スポーツはいいですよ。
I don't know that I agree with that.
程よく体を動かして汗をかくことはストレスの発散になります。また熱中することによってわずかな間でも家庭のことを忘れられるならそれは十分な気分転換になりますしね。
ほらサトシ君ってぼんやりしてるというかのほほんとしてるというかやっぱり相当ストレスあるんですか？
I knew Satoshi-kun must be suffering even though he didn't look like it, but Mian Sonozaki never pays attention to things like that and I had to act like she does.
おじさんに引き取られて少ししてから、サトシ君がだいぶ体調を崩しましてね。
Oh, word?
いろんな症状を訴えるんですが、いくら調べても原因がはっきりしないんですよ。
Satoshi-kun often got sick after he was taken into his uncle's custody. He suffered from fatigue and migraines. He suffered from a lack of energy and sleeplessness. The coach, Dr. Ide, soon realized Satoshi-kun was suffering from a psychological disorder. Most of the people in Hinamizawa knew how bad Satoshi-kun's environment was. It was natural for him to become sick because he entered that bad environment right after his parents' deaths.
サトシ君は感情の爆発ができないタイプなんですよ。泣いたりとか怒ったりとか、そういう感情が人一倍苦手なんです。
確かにサトシ君が泣いたりとか怒ったりってのはあまり想像つかないですね。
サトシ君のお母さんが再婚を重ねてるのはご存知で？
まあ少しは。
Satoshi-kun's mother had married a number of men over the years. That meant Satoshi-kun had several stepfathers. He had to deal with strangers coming into his home multiple times, so he was forced to be mature.
サトシ君は精神的に早熟なんです。本人は自覚していないでしょうがね。泣いたり笑ったりダダをこねたり、そういう時代をあっという間に卒業させられて大人になっちゃったんです。
監督の言い方だと大人ってのが必ずしもいいようには聞こえないですね。
子供は子供らしく過ごすことで成長していくようにできているんです。それを無理に大人にしたらやっぱりいいことはないですよ。
Not only was Satoko's current relationship with her aunt conspicuously terrible, I heard that her relationships with her previous stepfathers weren't good either. Satoko always caused problems, and Satoshi-kun would always step in to protect her.
だからサトシ君の体に変調が出たのは、そういうことに体が耐えかねた SOS じゃないかって思ったんです。
That's why Irie invited Satoshi-kun onto the baseball team. He told Satoshi that he needed a new member, or something like that.
初めは渋ってましたけどね。彼と診療の際にいろいろとお話しするうちに少しずつ打ち解けていきましてね。ちょっと見学だけにでも来てみるといい。ちょっとバットを持ってみるといい。なんて感じで少しずつ誘っていったんですよ。
Sports worked excellently for Satoshi-kun. His health quickly improved and he started to become interested in baseball. He practiced batting. He was soon able to swing beautifully, and he learned how to see the trajectory of the ball.
なんかわかるな。サトシ君ってコツコツタイプですからね。How to Baseball なんて本をしおり挟みながら読んでる風景が想像できます。
Baseball for dummies and wussies. That's the book he read.
それであれよあれよという間に3割打者なんです。本当によく頑張りました。これでピンチの時にも打てれば完璧なんですけどね。
God, I wish he wasn't worthless. How to Baseball, the Sayara story.
サトシ君と監督って仲いいんですか？
悪くはないと思ってますよ。悩みとかそういうのを打ち明けてくれたということは私を信頼してくれたからだと思ってます。
I felt a bit jealous of how confidently Irie said that. While Satoshi-kun and I were friends, we weren't so close that we'd open up to each other like that.
あれ？嫉妬してます？
No, I'm not. How dare you imply?
何に？
Nani? That's a real good nani right there. That's pretty good.
何に？何に？
It's really good. When you were in 6th grade, you tried out for baseball in the middle school. The coach opted if I become a supply man. Oh! Damn! Irie started laughing at me.
園崎さんもサトシ君の相談相手になってあげてください。
Aw.
まあなれるならなれたらいいかななんてで
I didn't know what I was saying.
サトシ君ですね。最近また少し体調を崩してるみたいなんです。
Oh. That was a dramatic musical shift. Thwack! A ball flew to the left. But the left fielder managed to catch it. It seemed that the relationship between Satoko and her aunt had gotten worse lately. It was obvious his sickness had something to do
おば
with
さん
that.
がかなり大人げないいじめ方をしているらしいんです。さとこちゃん、本当にかわいそうなくらいにボロボロになって。何しろ聞いた話では。
でそれをかばうサトシ君もボロボロになっているということですね。
I wasn't interested in Satoko, so I switched the subject back to Satoshi-kun. I didn't know much about Satoko. I knew that she was a big part of Satoshi-kun's life, but I'd never been interested in her until today. She must have been building up self-esteem and taking care of her unreliable brother. That was all I knew about her. But considering Satoshi-kun's personality, even that goofiness of his might have been an act. Maybe he was trying to make her feel good about herself by letting her take care of him. If only unconsciously. When he's alone, he's surprisingly strong. I realized that only recently, so I couldn't help but think that his whole life is constantly affected by Satoko. Satoshi-kun managed to get along with his stepfathers even though he experienced some stress. He was even getting along with his aunt, but in order to protect Satoko, he always had to step in and suffer. I didn't really know anything about Satoko, but I had to admit I felt hostile toward her. I felt jealous because she was monopolizing him.
最近さとこちゃんへのおばさんのいじめがだいぶエスカレートしてるみたいです。サトシ君の体調不良もそれに比例しているんでしょうね。
Irie heaved a sigh. As he said, Satoshi-kun had been absent a few times lately. He seemed a bit tired, too. He looked normal when around everybody else, but he looked a bit depressed when he was
監督
alone.
はストレスに押しつぶされそうなサトシ君を救うため野球に誘ったんですよね。
ええ、そのつもりでした。
こうして野球をやっている今、またストレスに押しつぶされそうになっているサトシ君に今度は何を誘えばいいんですか？
どうすればいいんでしょうね。
Irie smiled powerlessly. I couldn't help feeling a bit disappointed about that because Satoshi-kun put his trust in him.
内緒にしてくださいよ。実はですね、サトシ君、チームを抜けたいってそう漏らすんですよ、最近。
どうして？
疲れるからだそうです。というのは表向き。さとこちゃんと一緒にいる時間を増やしてあげるためじゃないかと思ってます。サトシ君は野球をしている間、さとこちゃんがおばさんにいじめられているかもしれない。その時、さとこちゃんのそばにいられないことが兄として辛いと、そう思っているのか。
I was left speechless for a while. Satoko again. Satoko. Why did Satoshi-kun have to sacrifice so much for her? Just by ignoring her, his stress would melt away. Of course, I knew he couldn't do that. If that were the case, then the blame lay with his little sister. I knew how badly she'd been treated, but that only happened because she made things worse for herself. It was her fault that she couldn't establish a decent relationship with their aunt. If Satoko were more mature, like Satoshi-kun, her home life wouldn't have gotten so bad. Satoshi-kun wouldn't have to suffer those indirect blows. In the meantime, the baseball team's practice match had become one-sided. It wasn't even worth watching anymore. The members of the losing team were just goofing off. The sky had turned cloudy, too. It was depressing. It didn't look like it'd rain soon, though. The gray sky hadn't brought along any cool air. It just felt disgusting. Irie became quiet. He was looking down around his feet. I, meanwhile, just stared at Satoshi-kun. To me, he didn't look active anymore. He was once able to enjoy playing baseball, and he felt fine. But he got sick again just because of the relationship between Satoko and her aunt had deteriorated. I couldn't help but say it.
サトシ君をどうこうするってより、サトコをどうこうする方が先決では。
This web, it's getting a little tangled now. Things are a little, as the kids might say, complicated. It was just a murmur, but Irie had definitely caught it.
それはどういう意味ですか、園崎さん。
別に難しい話じゃないです。サトコがしっかりしてくれれば、サトシ君に迷惑をかけることもない。サトコがそもそもの原因であるってことが言いたいだけです。
うん、そんなことは。
でしょ？だってサトコがトラブルからサトシ君はそのトラブルに介入して矢面に立たなければならないんでしょ？
It really is, isn't it? We are just getting more and more layers to things.
でその結果、本当は買わなくて済んだおばの喧嘩まで買ってるわけでしょ？
Satoshi-kun never got scared of any trouble. No matter how formidable the enemy, he'd bravely stand up and protect the weak. I knew that because I could vividly imagine it. Whenever their aunt chid Satoko, Satoshi-kun steps in to protect her. The aunt probably didn't like it. Though Satoshi-kun didn't have to fight, the aunt would attack him anyway. The fight would then be between the aunt and him. Satoko might then tease the aunt by sticking out her tongue, hiding behind his back, and pretending to be scared. She'd never think about how deeply he was being hurt. Because of Satoko, Satoshi-kun had become cornered and stressed.
園崎さん、あなたがそんな言い方をする人だったとは驚きです。あなたはさとこちゃんのお友達でしょ？
Watch it, watch it. Cover, 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 Shion, cover!
お姉さん的な立場でしょ？普段も学校でさとこちゃんを慰めたり励ましたりしてるものだと思ってました。なのにそんな言い方をするなんて正直驚いています。
Irie looked at me suspiciously. I could tell what he was thinking about me. I'd said too much. Mion Sonozaki and Satoko Hojo are friends. They're close, so Mion should have been encouraging her after the situation at home got tougher. That's what Mion was supposed to do. I had totally forgotten about that and spoken as myself. It's only natural that Irie would give me a suspicious look. He might end up changing his impression of Mion Sonozaki entirely. I'd have to apologize to her about this and ask her to put things right. I'd totally messed up. Even so, I didn't think I'd said anything wrong. I dejectedly looked at the situation and made a modest proposal. To be honest, I was simply afraid he might leave the team. I couldn't go to the school in Hinamizawa, so the baseball field was the only place where I would see him. I could even say that he was my reason for living. Jesus, girl, you got it bad. That's right, I was in love with him, but I wasn't going to tell him how I felt. For I was satisfied just being by his side. I certainly couldn't ask for anything more. After all, I couldn't reveal my true identity. I had to pretend to be Mion in order to live in Okinomiya. I thought that maybe I should leave Okinomiya in order to be free, but that's stupid. No matter how tough my life might be, I'd prefer to be here, with Satoshi-kun stroking my head every now and then. Why did I love him that much? I read about it in some manga once. You don't need a reason to be in love. I was surprised at myself for acting like this.
私
I breathed out slowly, then held my breath, trying to slow my throbbing heart. I felt a bit calmer. At that point, a clear thought came into my head. I want to be with Satoshi-kun. So, I want him to stay on the team. So, I want to get rid of his concerns and his stress. So what? So what can I do to achieve all that? My head started to cool down and I heard the umpire shout, well then, things are certainly. Some days I see him, some days I don't. A clear sky gets cloudy and rain will always stop eventually. I thought his absence was just like that, but he was actually on the verge of a breakdown. Notebook, page 19. The rainy season was just around the corner, and the air had become so humid that my shirt stuck to my skin. It had been a few weeks since Satoshi-kun stopped showing up for baseball practice. I looked for him as soon as I arrived at the field. He's not here yet. Did I get here too early? I want to see him playing in the field right away when I get here. I had started arriving late because of those feelings. However, he wasn't here today either. I didn't even bother hiding my disappointment anymore. Everybody knew by now how I felt. The team members from Mion's class come over to try and console me, but I shooed them all away.
園崎さん、気分が優れませんか?
Even Irie couldn't comfort me. I was aware that he too knew why I was like this.
帰りますね。気分じゃないです。
ほら、今日は沖宮タイタンズさんと打ち合わせをする日じゃないですか。マネージャーの園崎さんにも同席してほしかったんですがね。
私を勝手にマネージャーにしないでください。私、マネージャーだったつもりはないんですから。
Irie looked down, not knowing what to say.
わかりました。元気が回復したらまた手伝ってくださいね。
もう来ないかもです。マネージャーが必要なら私以外を募集してください。
気が向いた時でいいです。また遊びに来てくださいね。それにほら、あなたがいないとサトシ君が戻ってきた時寂しがりますよ。
I ignored him and turned around. I had already set my schedule with Mion, so I didn't have to ask her every time anymore. I'd tried to contact her a couple times to ask how Satoshi-kun was doing in school, but I hadn't been able to get through to her. Apparently, the hag had sensed that I might be in contact with Sis. In other words, Sis was being watched. As a result, it hasn't been easy to contact her. Kasai, who had been helping me contact her, seemed to also have been marked. People knew he was loyal to me. I hadn't seen him for a while either. All I could do was wonder how Satoshi-kun was doing. I was frustrated because there was no way for me to know. My head was filled with worries, but something surprised me out of the blue. Somebody called out to me when I was about to leave the field on my bike.
Mii-chan, konnichiwa.
Hey! Another good girl! This is good! This is a good thing! I'd never seen this girl before. Uh-oh! This could be a problem! This could be problematic! Luckily, she called me Mii-chan. There was only one person who refers to me on that way, as far as I know.
レナか。珍しいね。レナがここに来るなんて。
Alright, we pulled Rena's name out of the Rolodex of Shion's mind. Her name is Reina Ryugu. Her real name is Reina, but she wants to be called Rena. So that's what we call her. She moved here in April. I had some information on her, but it was all ambiguous. Sis was a bit uncertain about her since she's so new. It had been hard for me to handle someone like that. I didn't know how to act around her as Mion, so I decided to pretend to be in an obvious sulky mood. That way, she wouldn't talk to me as much, assuming that Mion was simply feeling bad. Well, that's how I really am anyway.
みーちゃんは帰り？うん。気分が優れないの？悪いね。じゃあ一緒に帰ろう。
I wanted to say that I'd rather be alone, but there's only one road in Hinamizawa, so asking to be alone would look odd. The only way to not seem suspicious would be to walk home with her.
そうだね。帰ろうか。
Boy, we're gonna have to play this one real smart and close to the chest. Rena quickly nodded and I unlocked my bike.
みーちゃん、傘は？
持ってないけど。
今日はこの後天気崩れるかもしれないんだって。傘ないなら急ごう。
As she predicted, we were attacked by pouring rain on our way. We ended up taking shelter in a small shack in front of the bus
す
stop.
ごい降りだけど、これはそんなに長引きそうじゃないね。向こうの空は明るいもの。
そうだね。
Yeah, like, who can fool Rena? Rena's gotta figure this out at some point, right? Like, Rena is just too damn observant. I heard the sound of rain pattering the rooftop and the raindrops jumping into puddles. It sounded loud, but it made me feel strangely calm. I zoned out for a moment, then Rena talked to me while looking up at the rainy sky.
最近元気ないって聞いたから心配してたんだよ。
All the baseball team members knew I was depressed because I hadn't seen Satoshi-kun recently. Most of them attend the school in Hinamizawa, so it wasn't surprising that she knew as well. I hadn't been able to contact Sis these past few weeks, but I was sure she had an idea of how I feel about Satoshi-kun and how I would feel if I didn't come to his baseball practice. Sis was probably pretending to act a little depressed during her day-to-day in Hinamizawa to avoid creating a big gap between our moods. Yeah, Allie, how long are you gonna let me call you Michan and let me get away with it? But neither of us knew the details about the other right now, so she wouldn't be able to answer if others asked her what was wrong. She'd only be able to say, leave me alone. That might lead more people to become worried. Rena must have thought Mion was depressed. That's why she came all the way to see me. She must have known what was going on because she knew that I was at the baseball field.
サトシ君、構ってくれないから寂しい？
She'd been hanging out at practice for a while, and then Satoshi stopped coming. Having deduced what's going on with Satoshi-kun from what she just said, he'd been distancing himself from others lately because of exhaustion. That's what it sounded like, at
さ
least.
とこちゃんの件でだいぶ悩んでるみたいだった。サトシ君はすごく追い詰められてると思う。
Yo, Raven, how's it going? Hope you're well. Same as you, Poncho. Hope you're doing well.
かわいそうだよね。
Good girl Rena is here with us, though, so everything's gonna be okay.
サトシ君は本当に妹思いだからね。偉いよ、本当に。
Oops, I missed the line there. Okay, he has a lot of courage. What I had said sounded hollow, as I knew too well how much of a burden Satoko had
でも
become.
だからってみーちゃんまで落ち込んじゃったらかえってサトシ君を追い詰めちゃうように思うかな。
私に追い詰めるつもりなんてないよ。
それはもちろん知ってるよ。でもだからこそ学校にいる時のサトシ君を笑顔で迎えてあげられなかったら本当にサトシ君は追い詰められちゃうよ。みーちゃんはたとえ嘘でも笑顔が作れる強い人間だって知ってる。だから嘘でも笑ってほしいの。最初はたとえ嘘でもね。笑顔って最後には本物になるんだよ。
What she was saying in a nutshell was this. Both Satoshi-kun and Satoko were totally wiped out. If Mion was also depressed, even though she's the sort of person who usually lightens the mood, their situation would be stuck in a vicious cycle. Rena sounded more like she was trying to give me advice than trying to console me. She must be more mature than she looks. Boy, don't we know that! Sis told me that she was a funny girl with a few bad habits, but she seemed to have another very mature side to her.
みーちゃんはサトシくんのことを
Well, this girl's figured something out.
The detective has once again nailed somebody to the wall.
好き。
Oh!
And she... Oh!
Oh, this might be complicated. Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Guys, this might have just really complicated things. Though I shouldn't have told her that, I immediately responded.
笑おう。
Rena
みー
smiled
ちゃんの
to
笑顔で
herself.
きっとサトシくんに元気を分けてあげられると思う。みーちゃんはそれしかできないことに落胆しかけているかもしれないけれど、それでもね、多分それが一番サトシくんの力になる。
理屈ではわかるけどね。腹減ったってそう簡単にはできないよ。
Rena giggled and
野球
nodded.
の練習にもさ、バイトが終わったらきっと帰ってくるから。
His part-time job. I almost asked a question, but I managed to stop myself. From the tone of Rena's voice, it sounded like it was something everyone
バイ
knew.
トか。いつ終わるんだろうね。
お金が貯まるまでだろうけど、どんなに遅くてもさとこちゃんの誕生日までには終わるよ。
I tried to figure out what was going on from what she said. I had to listen very carefully to uncover the whole picture. Satoshi-kun seemed to be working in order to make some money. I don't think it's that easy to find a job when you're still in school. Sis might have had something to do with it. His job only seemed temporary, and it seemed to have something to do with Satoko's birthday. It wasn't that difficult to figure out. Satoshi was working and saving up to buy his little sister something expensive for her birthday. He was trying to comfort her, even though he was so torn up himself. Satoko again. Satoshi-kun was already worn out because of her, and he was now working for her sake, even though he was exhausted. How stupid. It would be easier for him to just forget about Satoko. Hello?
Hello? What?
Hello? Hi. Rena? You were awfully close. Personal space? Miss Ryugu, please? I was startled when I realized Rena was looking straight into my eyes. She was smiling, but her eyes looked creepy. I never voiced what I was thinking, but she was looking at me as though she figured out that I was blaming Satoko. She beamed when she noticed my fear. She smiled as though she understood that I thought that way because of love. She was giving me the creeps. I could hear thunder roar in the distance. The rain began to
さ
pick
とこ
up.
ちゃんがサトシくんを独占してることに嫉妬を感じてる？
I avoided answering immediately this time, but Rena seemed to know what I was thinking already.
別にみーちゃんがそう思っても私は軽蔑しないよ。人を一途に好きになるときってそういうものだもん。
ありがとう。
でもみーちゃんは今までずっとさとこちゃんを励ましてくれてたよね。
Yeah, we've been encouraging Satoko. It's fine.
それって私すごく立派なことだと思うな。
さとこは仲間だもの。当然でしょ。
She's my friend. I love her so fucking much.
I sounded so fake. I felt like spitting on the
私た
floor.
ちにはさとこちゃんもさとしくんも励ますことしかできない。どうやったらこの苦境から救ってあげられるのかわからない。
さとこがさとしくんにべったりしすぎなんだよ。さとこがもっとしっかりすればさとしくんがここまで追い詰められることはない。
はっきり言うね。
Rena nodded with an unflinching smile, even though my remarks could be taken as harsh. What was this mysterious girl thinking? It was difficult to get a read on
サトシ君
her.
もさ、ほんの少しはそう思っているとこあるかもしれないね。
Rena kept smiling, but her smile looked strangely cold.
サトシ君も多分心のどこかでサトコちゃんをかばい続けることに疲れを感じてると思う。
Given the type of person Rena is, I don't think she'd say something if she wasn't certain of it. Because of that, she must have been confident in what she'd just told me.
どうしてそう思う？
私、サトシ君に打ち明けられたから。
Oh, boy. Satoshi-kun secretly confessed to her. Rena asked me to keep it that way.
サトシ君がね、兄として頼られることに苦痛を感じる。それはとても罪深いことだと知っているけど、ってね。
I don't think he would say something like that. But, however, it wasn't likely that Rena was lying. I'd just met her, so I didn't know what made me feel that way. But my hunch told me that she was telling the truth. I heaved a huge sigh. Satoshi-kun must have gotten so tired that he couldn't help telling someone. Even so, even if he thought that way, he wouldn't tell somebody so easily. Maybe Rena led him to do so. She might be capable of something like that. I don't understand this girl. It had only been a little while since we'd met, but I'd already started talking about something I was keeping deep inside of me. Does she have some kind of supernatural power to reach into people's minds and drag out what they're thinking? Yo, Nerd! Welcome! Hope you're doing well. Hope Subnautica went well for you. I was at work, so I kind of had to tune out a little bit afterward. But I stuck around. I was lurking. Hope you are doing well. It suddenly hit me that I was sitting with this creepy girl in a tiny shack. I'd been dragged into her strange world. I don't think Sis had realized Rena's real personality. She thinks Rena is just a funny girl with some strange habits. She would have told me if she knew.
レナはサトシ君に打ち明けられるくらいに信頼されてるんだね。
Yo, cool CG. Nice. We're getting more CGs this chapter, it feels like. That's solid. Going better now? Yeah, I thought that it would probably go well if you're not engaging with the survival stuff. My friend hosts a podcast with me. Like, he turned off the survival stuff, like I said, and it ended up being one of his favorite games of the year last year that he played through. And it sounded like he came away from that game having a lot of those cool little personal stories you get from games like that, where it's just like shit goes wrong or you make a real dumb move, but it's a real funny story to relay to people. So yeah, like he still had a damn good time not having any of that stuff on. So
羨ましい。
別に信頼されてるわけじゃない。私が経験者だからだと思う。
Oh.
経験？レナにも兄弟をかばったりした経験が？
ひたひたと。
Uh-oh! 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 How's that IQ sound go? Uh-oh!
ずっと足音がついてきて。
Abort! Abort!
夜は枕元にまで立たれて見下ろされる経験。
Huh? Sorry, Rena. What the fuck are you talking about? I turned around to face her and got the chills. Though she was smiling, her eyes looked ice cold. I trembled and froze with my eyes open.
兄ちゃんにはない？ないと思う。
Yeah, we had happy head pat time yesterday. A little bit today. But it looks like we're in not so happy footstep territory today.
多分。
Rena kept laughing self-derisively. I tried to figure out what she was
兄
saying.
ちゃんはひなみ沢から逃げ出そうとか
Just close your eyes and get a head pat. Close your eyes, get a head pat from Oyashiro-sama. How about that? That's probably fine.
もっと都会に行きたいなとかそういうことを考えたことはある？
I didn't know how to respond. Rena waited for my answer, urging me to speak with her silence.
ないよ。私は地元好きだし。
Love it here. It's fantastic. I love Hinamizawa wherever we are.
だよね
I love it so much.
Let's go to there right now.
Head pats were so precious you forgot what game you were playing.
みーちゃんはそうだと思う
It's okay, Rena. You don't have to do your eyes that way to have a normal conversation. It's fine. We could talk about this like normal people. It didn't seem like a good idea to lie to her. Yeah, Rena is the last person you want to lie to, I think. Rena has some kind of power I can't grasp. She can read people's minds just by seeing the slightest change in their expressions, so I had to tell her the truth.
そうならばみーちゃんは大丈夫お社様には怒られない
お社様
Oyashiro-sama. That's Hinamizawa's guardian deity. I couldn't understand why she mentioned that name. My mind stopped for a moment.
お社様
She calmly repeated the name as if trying to teach me something. Yeah, I remember. Oyashiro-sama never allows heathens to desecrate Hinamizawa. Oyashiro-sama never allows the villagers to leave either. Those are the rules. Slowly, I recalled the fear of the curse which supposedly caused the disembowelment murder and the death of the Hojo couple. When I was sent to the institution, I had this fear. I was scared that if I went to that faraway boarding school, I'd fall under the curse. But I should be okay. I escaped from the school and returned to my hometown, to Okinomiya to be precise, but it would still be okay according to the kids' rules, because I love Hinamizawa. Love it to death! I love Hinamizawa to death. The hag forces me to live this suffocating life, but I still choose to stay in this place. I don't believe in breaking Oyashiro-sama's rules. Even though the Sonozaki family had selfishly banished me to a remote place, I can come back here anyway. Oyashiro-sama should even bless me for that. I guess I'm trying to convince myself that the curse doesn't apply to me, but I think I'm still afraid of it.
私は地元好きだから。
Maybe Oyashiro-sama can make us a bento.
その意味ではお社様のたたりがあるとは思っちゃいないね。模範的だとすら思ってるけど。
うんそれは私も認めるだからこそサトシくんのことはわかんない
どうして
サトシくんは心のどこかでひなみ沢を捨ててどこかへ逃げ出したいと思ってるから
Eh? I gave an inaudible cry. While I was feeling sad that Satoshi-kun hadn't shown up for practice, he still lived in Hinamizawa, so I never even considered the thought of him going away.
サトシ君が家出したがってるってこと
うん無意識のうちにお社様が枕元に立つまでは多分意識すらしてなかったと思う
I still had no idea what she was talking about. I continued trying to figure out what she was saying.
サトシ君が体験していることは全てお社様のたたりの前触れなの誰かが遠くからじっと伺っている誰かがずっとつけてくる誰かがいつも自分のすぐ後ろから見ているそれらは初めのうちはお外でだけだけどやがて後ろのそれは自分の家の中にまでついてくるようになるそしてお布団に入って明かりを消してもずっと枕元から見下ろしてるのただただ黙ってじっと自らの罪を認めるまで サトシ君は夢見が悪いって最初言い出したの。それで私がどんな夢と聞いたら、私の時をなぞるようだった。だから私、彼に予告したの。その気配がやがて近づき、足音を聞かせるようになり、常にサトシ君を見下ろしているようになったなら。
Rena, did you exacerbate this? Did you? That's something to think on. That's something I had not considered. That maybe she's kind of the harbinger of Oyashiro-sama in Satoshi's case, because she's the one that's experienced this. And maybe she's kind of stoking this fear in something that's already wrong with him. And he's just kind of having these, like, oh shit, somebody's pumping this real bad information into my brain, and my brain blender is mixing it all up. and now I'm suddenly looking at things a lot differently. The anime did not go this deep. Like we know that she talked to Satoshi, but we didn't know that the conversation that she had with him was this nuanced in the anime.
それはきっと私の時と同じだから相談してって。サトシ君ははじめ私のことを怪訝に思ったと思う。でも私が予告した通りにお社様の気配が近づくのを感じ、お社様が枕元にまで立つに至って、やっと自分の身に起こってることを相談できるのは私しかいないって気づいたの。
Rena didn't look like she was joking. She just calmly told me what had been going on. I couldn't even move. I couldn't tell if her words were a joke or the truth. Okay, well, like, I'm sure that the anime has that, but, like, just kind of, like, the time that they can spend with her going over every detail that she relayed to him in this way. Like, it's been a while since I've seen the anime, to be fair, so. And, like, even though I'm kind of, like, rewatching the arcs as I play through them, I usually do it afterwards, so, like, I've only watched up to Himatsubushi again, so, yeah. You could be right there.
私はね、もともとひなみ沢に住んでいたの。小学校に上がる直前にここから引っ越した。でも新しい環境に馴染めなくてね。
Oh, nerd. Like, I'm trying to advise the people, the first timers in my chat, like, because they're doing a lot of the same thing in that, like, they're watching the streams and then they're watching the anime as well. I might need to ask you about something concerning Kai that I don't know that I should let them watch when we're ready to move on or not. So I'm gonna talk to you about that at some point, either like whisper or something. You got a Twitter, I'm pretty sure, because I follow you. But yeah, I kind of like, I don't want them to get spoiled, but I think there might be something there spoilish. I'm gonna have to ask you about that. Yeah, somebody in chat drop my Twitter at for Nerd, so he can shoot me a follow, and then me and him will have a discussion. He'll be our answer arc advocate. Okay, you're at Nerd. Yeah, I'm already following you. Somebody just drop. Yeah, there you go. Just shoot a follow request there, cause I'm private. Just shoot a follow request there, and then like I'll hit you up sometime, and we will have a discussion just to make sure, cause I don't want any of our first timers stumbling into stuff that maybe they shouldn't know yet.
心の中のお社様にひなみ沢に帰れ帰れって何度も呼びかけられてた。でも小学生の子が泣きながら元の町に帰りたいって言ったってどうにもならないもんね。私は現実とお社様の声に板挟みにされてずっと過ごすことになる。そして
Rena paused. It looked like she didn't want to go into the details of what followed. In general, she confused me even more.
結局いろいろあって私はひなみ沢に帰ってくることができた。だからお社様にはそれで許してもらえた。あれ以来お社様の気配を感じることはないもの。でもね、サトシ君は私と違ってひなみ沢にいながらお社様のたたりを受けることになった。
Oh, I'm pretty sure she still broke the glass. Don't worry.
それはなぜか。理由は一つ。サトシ君はひなみ沢にはいたけれども、ひなみ沢を捨てて遠くに逃げたがっていたから。その心をお社様は許さなかったんだね。サトシ君は自問自答を何度も繰り返した挙句に。
Wait, she was reading the Satoshi visual novel? She got to read the inner monologues of Satoshi? Well, goddamn! I feel ripped off.
ほら、サトシ君、アルバイトをしてるでしょ。サトコちゃんが欲しがったあの大きなぬいぐるみは10万円くらいするもんね。
That... Even in the 1980s? That is a ridiculous amount of money for a fucking teddy bear. That's a what the fuck? That's a fucking expensive teddy bear.
Are you sure this boy's getting money for a teddy bear?
That's a lot of money for a toy.
サトシ君はサトコちゃんの誕生日までにその額を稼ごうとしている。でもほら、考えてみて。それだけのお金があったら後先を考えなくていいなら、どこか遠くへ逃げ出す十分な費用になりうるんだよ。サトシ君は無意識のうちにね、そのお金でサトコちゃんに誕生日プレゼントを買うんじゃなく、サトコちゃんを捨ててどこか遠くへ逃げ出すお金に使ってしまいたいって思う。それはサトシ君にとってはこの上なく罪深いこと。でもさっきみーちゃんが指摘したように、サトコちゃんの存在自体がサトシ君の負担になってるのは事実。サトシ君だってバカじゃないもん。兄として認めたくなかっただけでサトコちゃんが負担になっていることにはちゃんと。だからサトシ君は葛藤してるんだよ。自分は妹を喜ばせるためのお金を貯めるためにバイトをしているつもりだけれども、それは自分の心を騙しているだけで、本当は自分が逃げ出すためのお金を作るためにバイトしてるんじゃないかって。私は逃げ出すべきじゃないと思う。逃げ出したってサトシ君は多分一生後悔する。
Yeah, like that'd better be, like, there'd better actually be some actual bear pelt on that sumbitch. Like, I'm not for the killing of animals, but if you were gonna charge me $1,360 for a teddy bear, that goddamn thing it better have real pelt on it, and it better shit gold.
お社様だってそれを分かってるから、サトシ君にこうして警告してくれているの。サトシ君の心にサトコちゃんを見捨てるなんて悪魔のささやきが早く聞こえなくなるといいんだけども。
Yeah, it better at least growl.
サトシ君は綿流しの数日後だっけのサトコちゃんの誕生日にプレゼントを間に合わせるため、今いろいろなアルバイトに精を出してる。
Hey, Watanagashi Festival!
心も体も追い詰めてる。そんな苦境がきっとサトコちゃんの誕生日を境に終わるんだって信じて。
Yeah, like the first edition Teddy Ruxpins.
サトシ君は 今もお社様のたたりに苛まれている。
I always wondered what those things would do if you put like a Cradle of Filth tape in there or something. Or like a Metallica tape or a Megadeth. I wondered what the Teddy Ruxpin would do then. Does he just rock out?
さとこちゃんを守るか見捨てるかの天秤の狭間に立たされながらね。
The torrential rain didn't seem to want to stop. It kept pouring down on the galvanized iron roof, producing a loud noise. Yet in the shack, it felt completely silent. What the hell was Rena talking about? I couldn't grasp even half of what she was saying. The only thing I had figured out was that Satoshi-kun was struggling, confused, and in lots of pain. He's suffering from Oyashiro-sama's curse? And Rena has experienced that before? The Watanagashi festival was right around the corner. That's a good sign, right? Oyashiro-sama's curse had struck 3 years in a row. There was no guarantee that it wouldn't strike a 4th time. Satoshi-kun was subject to Oyashiro-sama's curse, even now? Was he going to skip town? Was he going to be the next victim of Oyashiro-sama's curse? Either way, he might disappear forever. Could I do something to prevent it? If I didn't do anything, it would all come to a hopeless end. End? I started feeling a sense of dread. I didn't buy the crazy story Rena told me, but if something was really happening to Satoshi-kun which might bring about some kind of end, I couldn't help feeling scared. It's true, isn't it? My instinct is always correct. I decided to contact Mion despite the danger. Mion got upset at first, but she had to listen to me.
おねえ、サトシ君のことだけど、どういうことになってるの？
最近だいぶ険しい様子なんだよ。うかつに声もかけられない雰囲気。
何それ？声をかけられないからサトシ君がどういう状況になってるかよく分かってないってこと？おねえ、キンキンにまた入れ替わる機会を設けてほしいの。うん、
それはもちろん構わないよ。でも最近はちょっと綿流しのお祭りの打ち合わせの絡みで日程の調整が難しいんだよ。何？またバイト？
私、
What?
学校へ行
No!
く。
Oh, oh boy! Oh boy! Uh-oh! Oh boy!
This will only go well. This can only go well, folks.
Oh boy! Oh dear!
Nothing but good things. Notebook page 21 and notebook page 24. We got 2 tips tonight. Alright, notebook page 21. Why don't I relate my encounter with that creepy girl in the rain? Her name is Rena Ryugu. Her real first name is Reina. I have no idea what kind of girl she really is. One thing is certain, she has no relation to the Sonozaki family. She has no relation to the 3 families as a whole either. The Ryugu family used to live in Hinamizawa, but then they moved to Ibaraki. That was before she went to elementary school. They returned to Hinamizawa some years later. Rena Ryugu said she came back because of Oyashiro-sama told her to. I don't know what that means. She said it was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, that Oyashiro-sama had stalked her. I think that was probably a hallucination, but Satoshi-kun has been interested in that experience. She said that Satoshi-kun was also experiencing Oyashiro-sama's curse. Satoshi-kun told her that he was being followed by some unknown existence. He was surprised to learn that Rena had the same experience before. What is Oyashiro-sama's curse? Why did Rena and Satoshi-kun have a similar experience? I believe she means that somebody put them under surveillance. Somebody must be spying on the next victim of the curse. Since Rena and Satoshi-kun both blindly believed in Oyashiro-sama's curse, they interpreted it as Oyashiro-sama's presence. If paranoia kicked in, they'd feel as if they were experiencing a paranormal phenomena. Judging from what Rena said, it seemed that Satoshi-kun had been put on surveillance since long before Watanagashi. So, one question comes to mind. Why were they watching Rena? I'm assuming that this surveillance was placed on a victim-to-be of that year. If so, I don't understand why Rena went through it. Why did they watch her even though she was living so far away? If she was considered somebody who abandoned the village, I could understand, but she didn't fall victim in the end. Maybe she was forgiven because she came back to Hinamizawa. I guess she still knows something I don't. Notebook page 24. Satoshi-kun looked terrible. When he went home, he had to mediate a fight between Satoko and their aunt. He became mentally exhausted. He went to work every day. He became physically exhausted. He no longer communicated with his classmates. He either slept on his desk or was gone somewhere during lunch break. He used to be really gentle. It was painful to see him suffering like that. On top of all that, he was dealing with the curse of Oyashiro-sama. He must have been completely, totally, and absolutely exhausted. The curse was a form of surveillance by those planning to victimize Satoshi-kun that year. That means that the other victim was in the same situation. Satoshi-kun's aunt had also been watched. Did she notice any presence? What about the others? Did the victim of the previous incidents also experience it? I need to investigate the facts in order to prove that the curse on Satoshi-kun was actually just surveillance. Is it surveillance, paranoia, or really the curse? Well, which is it? Which is it, everybody? I'll leave you to ponder that, because that's going to be where we're going to call it for the evening. But we will be back again tomorrow night at the same time, 7 p.m. starting, just like always. So we will call that there for the night. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out. It's been fun.